Rush Limbaugh was not going to have his show today without referencing what happened in the Supreme Court. That's only expected. He's got to cover a lot of air every day. And it got crazy real fast. Let's watch.
Nobody in this country has ever been denied the right to get married. Not a single person. Stop and think about that. Marriage is something. Nobody is. If you want to get married, there have been certain qualifications. If you don't meet them, I can't get into a bunch of clubs I'd like to get into either because I don't fit. Big deal.
That was a moment of rare honesty for him. There are definitely places he does not fit. It's a big deal when it comes to his girth. So correct me if I'm wrong, he has been married multiple times, right?
He has.
That's interesting. I wonder, does that have anything to do with this? Wait, I think it does actually. So he's there basically saying, look, marriage means something. It has a definition. It goes back hundreds of thousands of years. Velociraptors were getting married, but only one man and one female velociraptor. No, marriage has changed. It's changed in many ways, and some of the ways that it's changed directly impact Rush Limbaugh's ability to have multiple marriages. For instance, divorce was illegal for a very long time in America, in many states in America. Those laws were eventually nullified. Eventually we have, you can get divorced for basically any reason. You don't have to give any sort of religious or moral reason for it. That made it a little bit easier for him to have multiple marriages. Not too long ago, blacks and whites could not get married in many states. These anti-miscegenation laws were on the books. In fact, a significant portion of the population, as Jared Jackson alluded to earlier, in states like Mississippi still believe they should not be allowed to get married. So that was the tradition for a long time. You don't have to go all that far back in history for you had 9 and 12-year-olds getting married. You had people getting married with nothing to do with love. It all had to do with political alliances and things like that. You had women basically treated as property, given away in exchange for dowries. It was a business-oriented transaction. You had gay couples in many societies historically throughout the world. Just look at the Bible. You had people with multiple marriages, multiple mistresses. You had massive harems of 600 people. Now look, that sounds awesome, but it certainly is not part of the traditions of marriages that Rush Limbaugh implies we've had up until this morning. So Rush Limbaugh is wrong there on a bunch of different levels. Let's turn to Glenn Beck, though. Glenn Beck also not one to miss an opportunity to engage in the crazy. Let's listen to him.
Who are you to say that if I'm a devout Muslim and I come over here and I have 3 wives, who are you to say if I'm an American citizen that I can't have multiple marriages?
Right. If we have no laws on this, people take it to one extension further. Does it have to be human? But I'm kind of with you. I see the thousands of year tradition of the nucleus of the family unit.
Yeah, so what I love about that is you have Rand Paul and Glenn Beck. And so Rand Paul is a libertarian, and in some ways their ideology does go a bit outside of the normal discourse. They're willing to take their policy preferences, their ideology farther than some others will. But even he must have gotten a bit creeped out occasionally talking to Glenn Beck. So what I love about Glenn Beck there is that those of us here in the realm of rational discourse are wondering what effect this will have on federalism. How many couples are going to be able to solidify and write into law their love? That's what we're worried about. And he is here to remind us, no, this has to do with the Muslims. Now look, I don't know, I'm going to be real, I don't know 10, 20 years from now what effect these rulings could have on the possibility of polygamy being legalized. Maybe in 100, 200 years it'll seem like the most natural thing in the world for polygamy or polyamory or whatever to be legalized. But that's not what we're talking about now. I have a feeling, we had to cut the video eventually, but I have a feeling it eventually engaged in like, what if you marry a turtle sort of behavior. And so just when the country is willing to take another step towards adulthood on an issue like this, Glenn Beck's ready to just try to drag us by our coat sleeves back into the 1950s.
Let's not miss what he was doing there. I was saying before, it was money interests and fear. What else do we fear? Well, if these Muslims come in here and start coming with their 3 wives and want to take over our country with the Muslim Brotherhood and the sisterhood of the traveling Muslims, and constantly over and over again with the same thing. We're afraid of, oh, well, that's right. afraid of Muslims. Let's bring them up. How come when they bring up, I'm blanking on the religion, in Utah, with their
Mormons.
What if these Mormons? How many Mormons coming around and start marrying all their wives? It was Muslims.
Yeah, so
you need someone to be afraid of.
That's a good point, because Glenn Beck is a Mormon. So why is he totally downing on polygamy there? It seems like a couple of steps back, his ideology would have been in favor of it. I don't know there. Look, looking for intellectual consistency and honesty from Glenn Beck is probably a futile ordeal. But I do like that you mentioned the fear, because I did to some extent miss that. That's a very good point. So most of the people that we've referenced who are so scared about what this effect this is going to have on human civilization have tried to scare you in very vague terms. The country's going to end. The world is going to fall apart, stuff like that. But now, this could allow more Muslims in here, and they could have 3 or 4 wives, 3 or 4 sexy wives, and you only get to have 1. Why do they get to have 4? And you can't even see what they really look like under all that clothing. So he's trying to scare people like that as well.